Hey, George, how's it going, my friend?
Good.
Good, good.
Let's say one thing. The life of an independent wrestling promoter is never ending. He,
Yeah, I would assume so. I did send him the invite to speak, so, but yeah, no, I would,
he might be a couple minutes, but he'll be
that's
here.
fine. That's
Oh, he's right
fine.
there. He's
No,
already
yeah,
here.
I saw him pop in, but I know sometimes, like,
Wow.
right? So
Punctual.
I'm not sure everybody knows, but if people did see, we've got, War Dog Apollo, Kevin Apollo from the Toonie Talk group coming in and hanging out with us today from Toonie Talk Wrestling. That's knocking out that's two of the big four from him already. Way to go, George. How's it going, Kevin?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you. I don't know if you heard. George told me live when we were recording that he was bringing you on, and I got pumped. I was excited. I popped.
Awesome,
I was
man.
like, all right, cool. George
Glad to
likes
hear
to
this.
sneak things on me sometimes. He says, like, hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're doing, okay, let's party. That's fun. It's a good time.
So life of an independent wrestling promoter, Kevin, never ends, huh?
Oh God, never. It's not done until I lock the ring in the truck, and I still gotta pray that nothing happens.
There still could be something from the time you lock it till you get to the truck door.
So let me tell you. So when I first started running shows,
Yeah.
there were not people who were happy in my area. So I was running in my old hometown. There's a nice youth center there. So we locked up my original trailer in like this old salt depot that they weren't using. So I go and I'm gonna do a ring rental for what was called NYWC down in New York City, and then we come to pick up the truck. So it's me and Bull James. He's gonna bring the truck down. We go to the trailer, and all my tires are slashed.
Oh God.
That's how petty indie promoters are.
Wow.
And not even like let the air out, like slash. So that's
Just
it.
slashed
Oh,
them.
oh,
I'm like, oh my God, man. It's like, it's not like old school territory days where we're fighting for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
oh man.
Kev,
That's
since around the independent wrestling thing, how hard is it nowadays connecting with the talent in the locker room than it used to be in your day?
Yeah, it is a different mentality. I won't say that for everybody. I won't say it for everybody. There are some guys who it's really easy to sit down and talk to them, and they kind of have that old school mentality. But it is a very the attitudes are very different. But with that said, there's that shared love of doing this, and if you're crazy to want to go train and learn how to do this, it's you have to be a little not right in the head. So that shared love of wanting to do this enough, it does create a little bit of a bond. But it's a little different. It's just a little different. You have to be a little more gentle with how you put things. The expectations are, I would say, a little unnaturally higher, but so it's still fun. I just don't think it's as fun as it used to be for me. And I'm sure if you talk to somebody who was doing this, 30 years ago, they probably have said the same thing about my group when we first broke in. But,
right. That's how it always goes every time. I mean, there's that story that, what is it, Luthez that said Harley Race did too much gymnastics or whatever.
Yep,
It's like,
yep.
yeah, there's always that. So that doesn't surprise me though, but at least you're still doing it and having fun with it.
Yeah, man,
What's the promotion called? What's the promotion called?
It's called, it's called American Coliseum Wrestling, or ACW. We run mostly out of Rockland County in New York and Bergen County in New Jersey. There are, since we've been up and running and have been a little successful, there have been a couple of other ACWs who have popped up. So I'm working on I know this is the way. It's what I get for being too poor to trademark my stuff. But so we're working on a little bit of rebranding. I'm hoping to have that all kind of rolled out by midsummer. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. Our first couple of shows, we had a bunch of the, I say kids, but they're not that much younger than me. But like my first batch of shows, we had a couple of people you see on, on AEW now. Like Chris Statlander was a big attraction for me. Bear Country, they were especially Joe. He was a huge help for me. Max Caster. did a bunch of stuff for us. So it's been cool, and I get to every once I get to call on some old friends, like, Crowbar. Crowbar, we trained out of the same school. We go way back. Crowbar actually gave me one of my favorite matches I ever had.
That's
So
awesome.
he'll pop and do some shows for me. Same thing. Dreamer does a lot of my shows.
Cool.
I can't say enough wonderful things about Tommy, man. That's a guy who will give you everything you've ever asked for and more. If you're willing to listen. And he's always a tremendous help, man. It's always great to have him on. And then, through that's how I got to meet Kevin Sullivan.
Oh wow,
dude, I'm devastated we lost Kevin, man. He was so awesome just to talk to, and just again, just another guy. He gave you everything you could have asked for and more, and just phenomenal stories. Just awesome, man. Just an awesome human. Just an awesome human to have been able to interact and have learned from.
That's so awesome. Any chance we get you in the ring one more time?
Now that my kids are, I've got 3 kids.
Right.
2 of them hit double digits, so they'll see old pictures of me. And back when I was a lot more svelte. So they go, "That's not you." So now they're old enough. Especially now my youngest, he's my son. So, youngest is a boy. So I want to give them some proof of life. So I'm working on it.
Right.
I got another 20 pounds to go, and then we'll see what happens.
Cool.
You got to show them what Dad can do. It also probably help with,
right.
Especially when the girls start dating. Just throw that video on the background if somebody comes over. Just no, what's that? Oh, nothing. That's just some home movies. It's fine.
Well, that's it. I'm going to give them the Marcellus Wallace speech.
Yes.
Hey, Kev, I wanted to ask you one thing before I let Jake ask his questions.
Sure.
With the current schedule that AEW is running and somewhat WWE, how do you think these guys and gals stay in ring shape? Because they're not in the ring very often. They're only in there once, maybe twice a week. How are they supposed to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
How does that work?
That's a phenomenal question. I won't go too deep into it because I don't want to get certain people in trouble, mostly on the AEW side.
Shocking.
But at least it's hard, right? Especially when we look at the way the WWE schedule is now, they don't do as many house shows, and I think what's kind of hard for people to kind of get is, especially when you're learning. The NXT kids, listen, they bump like it's their job. They're on site at 8:00. They're not done till 5, your lunch break. Then they've got their conditioning afterwards, squeezing in promo classes. So it's, they're in there 5 days a week. They're 5 days a week, 8 to 6. I think it was, what was it? The Tuesday or Wednesday is their TV day. And on Saturday, they're doing untelevised events. And then Sunday is their only real true day off. So, they are out there, but, when you're first learning, you can practice and work it all you want. You don't really start to kind of really get your sea legs until you're out there in front of a live crowd, right?
Sure.
Because they're going to give you different energy. What might work for one is not going to work for another. What worked here might not work there. So you need to be in front of that live audience and start learning how to, one, just even process the feedback, good, bad, or otherwise. You just have to learn how to process it. And then you really start learning how to adjust, and you start to figure out what works. The WWE had kept a very aggressive schedule for a very long time. Right. With it being shortened, for the main roster guys who've been doing this forever, it's better for them because their bodies get a little time. Your body gets time to heal. They were running a rough cycle. But when you're younger, you do need those reps. It's crucial. It's crucial. It's really hard, honestly, for the AEW guys, especially the ones who I would dare say had no business being signed because they didn't have anywhere near enough experience to be being put out on national TV. They just gobbled people up real quick. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, dude, like no one who's been doing, unless you look like freaking Goldberg or Batista, right? No one has any business being signed, doing this for under 2 years. You do not know what you're doing yet. And a lot of they don't. AEW doesn't run house shows. They do TV. You're not always going to be used on TV. Like you may go, we've seen dudes go like 6 to 8 week cycles,
Yeah.
in between matches. And then if you're
Yeah.
lucky, you'll go another 6 to 8 weeks. And then if you're lucky, you'll get thrown on the ROH zombie show, right? So, so if they're not doing,
that's good.
I'm sorry. I'm not an
true.
AEW hater, but I just.
It is what it is. You're just honest. You're just an honesty broker. That's all you are. I love it.
So it is really hard. They have a lot to. I feel bad. Like, listen, when they get on TV and they do these botches and stuff like that, and they get ripped apart, I genuinely feel bad because I go, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's AEW's management's fault because they're not getting the reps, and you're putting them on live TV, bro. First of all. I got to try out for a dark match. I didn't actually get one. But the a TV match is radically different than a regular match. So I was just fortunate enough that the school that I trained in, my instructor was an old school job guy. Worked for all major companies. All major companies, have been around for a long time. He even started with like in the Dennis Carluzzo days.
Oh wow.
So like everything he did was teaching us how to wrestle for TV, not for the crowd, just for TV. Know where your hard cam is, understand how you need to be reacting, understand how you need to be reading the crowd, make sure you're in the middle of the ring, stuff like that. But going out to perform on live TV, it is a radically different mindset. It requires a radically different set of skills. And, I've heard horror stories about how they treat their agents there. Like, I always tell this story because it blows my mind. Someone walked up to Jerry Lynn and said, "What do you even know?" Like what do I have to listen to? And I'm like, bro, if it wasn't for Jerry Lynn, none of you would have a job.
God, that hurts my face. That's like legitimately a pain behind my eye. That's just like, oh God, what?
It's honestly, it's why I get so hot whenever we have somebody. It's like, oh my God, you guys don't understand how much knowledge you like. I know people who would actually go to the way to probably try to commit an act of murder to be exposed to the people that they have access to. So but a lot of but to answer your question. Dude, I feel bad because no, they don't nearly get enough reps, and doing indie shows is not giving you the experience that you need.
Right.
You do the indies when you're on the indies. When you are at the next level, you need to work the next level to learn how to, and need to work next level people in order to know how to master your craft there. It's very different animals, especially modern indies.
I'm sure. I feel like Dominik Mysterio is the prime example of what you're saying, because when he first turned heel and like started getting more featured in that role, if you saw his schedule, he was working Raw and then going down and working at NXT, Tuesday through Saturday, and like getting the reps in, and look where he is now. There used to be a comparison of him and Hook, and now there's not.
Dominik is because we watched Dominik grow as a talent on TV, right?
Right.
He was doing those house shows, and he was your standard. I'll tell everybody, it is really hard to be a babyface, to be a white bread babyface when you're brand new. It's like you don't know what to do, so you don't want to do the lame ass indie stuff of like, come on, where you're pumping your arms in front of your chest and you're just screaming and smiling because you're happy to be there. No one likes that crap. They'll laugh you out of the building half the time. So learning how to be a babyface, try to get over, and you saw how people just crapped all over him when he first started. But like Dominik is in the fire, like he's legit in the fire. So he's sink or swim, very super duper old school, because a lot of times, like if you were a new guy, and you were in a certain territory, a lot of people don't understand. It's like if I wanted to get on. If they were like, say they're doing like a 4-day stretch in my town, that if I wanted, I may show up Thursday and they're like, ugh, whatever. They'll ignore me. But if I show up on Friday, I may get a random match. I may get a match Saturday. If I'm lucky, I'll get paid on Sunday. And if someone liked you, you may get invited to come along. But if you get invited to come along, your butt was in the fire right out the box. You needed to learn. You needed to learn fast. And if you couldn't, you didn't work. Right. So, we got to watch Dominik make his mistakes and just grow by leaps and bounds. And where he is today versus what during the pandemic era, they're radically different creatures. And like you said, compared to Hook, like listen, I think Hook has a lot of growth potential. I just, is my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to get that there.
No.
They don't have the infrastructure there to really help you get to the next level. Hell, that's why I would say I think Hook would be better off actually just working the indies and being around people who know, who aren't necessarily on TV now but used to be, and then trying to get NXT. So, but again, there's a lot of potential. People get mad when I say it, but like, I just don't see it. I don't think if I'm a young kid and I'm in AEW, my potential is not going to be actualized there. They don't have the infrastructure for it.
Have you tried to get Hook on your promotion since he's from the area, kind of, sort of?
No, when he was, you still get like, one of my best friends in all the world, is Bull James. I actually broke him in, former Bull Dempsey. We run, the parent company for my, for ACW is actually called Coliseum Sports Attractions. So we work under the same LLC. He runs his shows, Outlaw Wrestling, mostly out of the boroughs. He does really fantastic shows. And has leveraged a lot of people for anybody who they were. Like, he was booking Orange Cassidy and everybody else before, like, anybody even could pretend to know who they were. But Bull was one of the few actual Taz students that went on that academy that he did in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He was one of the only ones who graduated. He had a fantastic relationship with Taz, and for a long time, Hook was not going to wrestle. He had no interest in it, and the interest in wrestling popped up almost very suddenly, and bam, he was in AEW, and he wasn't really doing indie slots, Whereas I got lucky where I got a lot of the guys that used to do my shows, before All Out happened, or what was it, All Out, or whatever the one in the Garden was, before that happened. So, once they kind of got locked in, I wasn't really able to use them much of it, because really I'm small. Like, I don't have a school. So I don't have a lot of that extra ancillary revenue coming in. I don't have a money mark. So if anybody's listening out there who's
Yes.
investing in a company, please, I'm very open to it. So it's like, really, it's what my budget is. Okay, what do we make on the last show? After I pay everybody, do I have enough, to roll into the next show's budget? And then I work, from there, super duper old school.
Yeah. You embracing the grind, literally.
Yeah.